Well, good afternoon, Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Chipman, and I'm the Director General and Chief Executive of the International Institute for Strategic Studies in London, and I've been asked to make a 10-minute presentation to set the scene for this panel that is entitled Pacific No More, Security in East Asia and the Korean Peninsula. Amid an increasingly contested geopolitical space, I think it's right to present some of the pertinent defense and military facts that shape strategic geopolitical issues in Asia, including relations with external security providers. At the IISS, that is our task each day. And with our new online Military Balance Plus database, the world policy community is now able instantly to query our data and conduct sophisticated analysis of military developments virtually as they unfold. States across the Asia-Pacific are improving their armed forces. The development of conventional military capabilities is sustained by continued tensions in the East China and South China Seas, as well as on the Korean Peninsula. Across the region, procurements are fueled by growing military budgets. The balance of global military spending continues to shift towards Asia, as our first slide on defense spending indicates. IISS data shows that after overtaking Europe as the second largest defense spending region in 2012, Asia in 2016 spent 1.3 times more than Europe on defense when measured in constant 2010 US dollars. China spends the most in the region. Its official defense budget is 1.8 times higher than the combined budgets of South Korea and Japan, and 3.7 times higher than other states surrounding the South China Sea put together. Some of the military capabilities now seen in the region are challenging Western military technological superiority. We judge that in some capability areas, particularly in the air domain, China appears to be reaching near parity with the West. China's progress in military research and development, taken together with its improved military capabilities, mean that it is now the single most important driver for US military technical developments. This year's military balance assesses that China's Air Force has just introduced into service a highly capable short-range missile that only a handful of leading aerospace nations are able to develop. And we show this in slide 2 on air-to-air missiles. The introduction of this weapon, called the PL-10, reflects the sustained and continuing investment China is making in air-launched guided weapons. Beijing will almost certainly be able to add increasingly capable air-to-air weapons to its inventory in the next few years. The Navy is also developing. Work has started on building 3 Type O-55 cruisers and at least 13 Type O-52D multi-mission destroyers are in service or under construction. A growing number of China's modern surface combatants are being fitted with phased array radars. For China's armed forces, integrating these new military systems will in time deliver new capabilities, but will also bring challenges, including in terms of new doctrine, training, and personnel. China has already started to make its military training more realistic and more joint. The United States, meanwhile, is looking to address this increased challenge to its long-established military dominance by more often deploying its most modern military platforms to the region and more widely dispersing advanced weapon systems across its naval forces. Washington is also looking to maintain its military advantage by boosting innovation and leveraging the US civilian high-tech sector. In Northeast Asia, North Korea's nuclear and missile programs continue to concern the region's capitals. In 2016, North Korea conducted 24 missile tests, 1 satellite launch, and 2 nuclear tests. and this is referred to in slide 3 on North Korea's missile tests. Most of the tests so far have been of short and intermediate-range ballistic missiles, which threaten principally South Korea and Japan. The North's stated plan to develop an ICBM capability is of particular concern, not least given Pyongyang's rhetoric towards the United States and its drive to develop a nuclear capability for its ballistic missiles. Ground tests of the presumed first-stage engines for a road-mobile ICBM and a prospective heat shield for a re-entry vehicle have been observed. Development of the road-mobile KN-08 ICBM has been confirmed by U.S. officials. The test on 12 February 2017 of what appeared to be a land-based variant of its KN-11 submarine-launched missile showed further technical advances. A solid-fueled motor, which would allow for a quick launch, and a tracked launch vehicle, which by giving off-road mobility makes the missile harder to detect and preempt. In response, regional states have looked to boost their missile defense capabilities, and the U.S. last year announced that the Theater High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, would be deployed to South Korea. However, the THAAD deployment in South Korea is a necessary but not sufficient defense against North Korea's shorter-range missile systems, nor is it effective, of course, against an ICBM. Better coordinating regional missile defense would be a way to more efficiently address the North's missile challenge, and 2016 saw Japan, South Korea, and the US conduct a trilateral missile defense drill, Exercise Pacific Dragon. But developing effective defense cooperation means aligning not only capabilities and threat perceptions, but also, of course, tackling historic antipathies between the two regional powers. Tensions also persist in the South China Sea. China has established military facilities on at least 6 of the features it occupies in the Spratly Islands. Mischief Reef and Fiery Cross Reef each have a 3-kilometer runway that could be used by combat aircraft. Other nations, too, have built facilities in this area, as we show in slide 4, that shows airstrips in the Spratly Islands. One important consequence of China's activities in the South China Sea has been the decision by the United States Navy to undertake so-called freedom of navigation operational patrols designed to assert the right of the US and others to fly and sail wherever it was legally permitted. Various countries in Southeast Asia are having to decide whether they support or contribute to this activity in similar defense of an international legal principle. Across the region more broadly, others strengthen their military capabilities. Military aerospace capabilities are modernizing, and countries are buying more advanced combat aircraft, maritime patrol, and anti-submarine warfare aircraft. Submarines have proliferated in the region. Our data for 2016 shows 214 submarines in regional inventories compared to 174 in 1990. Every other region in the world, apart from the Middle East, saw numbers of submarines decline. In the Asia-Pacific, more of these boats have air-independent propulsion, enabling greater underwater range. The region is also seeing more and larger vessels for Coast Guard forces and more naval surface warfare capacity. China is leading the way, but is by no means alone in building larger, more heavily armed naval vessels, as we show in the next slide describing cruisers over 9,500 tons. Japan and the Republic of Korea are also doing so. Outside the United States, Asian states are now the only nations building destroyers and cruisers in the 9,500 to 10,000 ton range. The size of these ships implies an increasing capacity to deploy maritime capabilities over greater range and in more extreme weather conditions through the year. They also indicate a greater potential to embark more advanced missile systems like high-powered radars. The potential for friction is increasing across all domains, but particularly at sea and in the air. How the region's military modernization is managed will, in tandem with measures to tackle enduring security crises, help shape the future security environment in the region. For that reason, we all look forward to intense defense and diplomatic exchanges at the IISS Shangri-La Dialogue from 2 to 4 June 2017 that will be opened by Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. But here, I leave you now in the capable hands of Kevin Rudd, the first Australian Prime Minister to deliver an address at the Shangri-La Dialogue. Kevin, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, John Chipman. And for the work also of IISS, and Shangri-La, as you know, has become an extraordinary gathering place for the region's national security community across East Asia and beyond. Also, the military balance, John, in its new form, is a terrific document and a terrific resource for us all. And thank you for the work there.